Then your Sports Central, we go for our next team prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the Purdue Boilermakers, a team that went 8-6 overall in the 2022 season. This was one of the top teams in the Big Ten last year, won the Big Ten West, made it to Indianapolis. A really solid season for this team. About this team being 2023 and where this team stands as we look forward to 2023 is what we'll be talking about here today. We'll be analyzing this team and predict their schedule game by game in this video. Let's get started with a quick recap of 2022. Once again, the record was 8-6, and this was we knew heading into the season this was going to be a solid team. You consider the experience, the talent of this team. This was a team with a lot of potential, and in general, this team did not disappoint. They did start out the season 1-2 with losses to Penn State and Syracuse on the road, both of them being within a score. So two tough, close losses there. And if this team could have gotten it done in both of those games, got wins in both of them, this team would have been 7-0 heading into the Wisconsin matchup, probably ranked well into the top 10 as well heading into late October. And it's within reason to say that for sure. If you also got to consider this team had a lot of close wins last year. They managed to play very well and get it done in most of those close games last season, which so it does kind of balance out. This team was still 5-2 heading into the Wisconsin matchup in the end, which they did lose to the Badgers 35-24, also lost to Iowa 24-3 after that. But they won their last three games against Illinois, Northwestern, and then Indiana. So heading into the postseason, this was an 8-4 team. They did lose to Michigan in the Big Ten Championship 43-22, but Michigan is a true power right now. That team is on the top of the Big Ten, and they are not slowing down anytime soon. That's a team that's won back-to-back Big Ten championships suddenly, and they're very much a team to keep an eye on once again in 2023. And then went to the Citrus Bowl, a pretty good bowl game, took on LSU. That matchup was between the runner-ups of the Big Ten and the SEC, and you lost LSU 63-7, just not the best game there. You consider, though, for Purdue, a lot of players left for the NFL draft after the Big Ten championship. So we really didn't see Purdue at their best in that matchup. Otherwise, I do think the Boilermakers would have had a much better chance, but LSU got a huge win there in the end. And the final record for Purdue was 8-6, a great season for this team. But looking forward to 2023 now, your roster preview heading into this season, and there are multiple significant changes for this team for sure. Aiden O'Connell, of course, being gone, which he was a long-time starting quarterback for this team. You consider he's been with the team since 2019. So for the past 4 years, he's had a big impact on this offense, and he is a true pro-style quarterback, really a talented passer, 3,500 yards last season, 22 touchdowns, over 13 picks, and a 64% completion rate. So his stats maybe weren't quite as impressive as they were in 2021, but still a great year for him. And of course, Hudson Card is the next man up, coming in from Texas. I'm very optimistic about him. I do think he's a talented quarterback, and it makes sense for him to leave considering the quarterback situation at Texas now. So I think it's a good fit for him. We'll see what he can do. Devin Maccabee's coming back. He is definitely a name to keep an eye on. Last season, over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is a very talented back with a large amount of upside. I do think he's definitely a name to keep an eye on, and this offense will be relying on him a lot, I think, definitely in 2023. The receiving core, Charlie Jones is gone. Payne Durham is also gone. So your top receiver and your top tight end. Charlie Jones last season was far and away the top end receiving for this team. Nearly 1,400 yards of offense, 12 touchdowns. And of course, Payne Durham with right around 600 yards of receiving and 8 touchdowns. TJ Sheffield's coming back. Same with Mershawn Rice. So you got your second and third wideouts, your third and fourth in receiving last season coming back, which is good, but you do lose your top receivers there. Something to keep in mind. You lose 2 on the O-line, 3 on the D-line, 3 linebackers, and then 3 in the secondary. This defense really loses a lot of key talent. 9 significant players are gone, so that is going to be something to keep an eye on. This defense will need to rebuild quite a bit, and we kind of saw how this team struggled in that bowl game against LSU, and this team definitely has got a lot of improving to do. Looking forward to 2023, and it is going to be more of an inexperienced team. This team was built to win in 2022. I don't really think that's the case for 2023. This might be a bit of a down season for this team, and of course, it's also the first year under the new head coach, Ryan Walters. We'll see if he can have that same kind of success as Jeff Brom did. Jeff Brom really led this team to some good success, which this is usually a team that doesn't have much success in the Big Ten, but in recent time, this team has been pretty good. So, I mean, we'll see what he can do with this team, and I do think this is a team with a bright future, but 2023 might not be the best season for this team. They can still be good. I think getting to a bowl game would be a good season for this team, considering some of that inexperience. So I would consider 2023 to be a rebuild season in a way, considering just a lot of young talent on this team. And this is still a team with a lot of potential, I think. Looking forward to 2023, I just think the ceiling is a bit lower for this team heading into 2023 in comparison to, say, it was heading into 2022. But with that, let's take a look at the transfer portal and recruiting now. Hudson Card, of course, coming in from Texas. Bennett Meredith is also coming in for the quarterback position from Arizona State. And the way it sounds, you can probably expect him to be the primary backup for this team at the quarterback position. Looking forward to 2023. Brady Allen is off to Louisville. Michael Lamo is also in the transfer portal. King Doerue, running back, is off to Cal. Jamal Edrine's coming in from Florida Atlantic. Jalen Grant, you can expect him to be a starter in 2023, coming in from Bowling Green. And then Branson Dean is off to Miami, a defensive lineman there. Otherwise, Jack Sullivan is also gone. He's off to USC. Jeffrey Mbug's coming in from Auburn. He's expected to be a starter as well. Same with Malik Langham coming in from Vanderbilt. You also got Isaiah Nichols coming in from Arkansas. You lose Jacob Wahlberg, linebacker, who's in the transfer portal, but you bring in Salim Turner Muhammad from Stanford, and then Marquise Wilson coming in from Penn State for the defensive secondary, which is good considering this is a defense that once again has lost a lot of key talent. So it's definitely a good thing this team is bringing in multiple key players from the transfer portal for this defense, but recruiting wise, definitely could be better. This team is 67th in the nation, 13th in the Big Ten. You got 16 3-stars, and that's what pretty much makes up of the 2023 recruiting class. So I got this team at a 7 out of 10 on the future forecast meter. I still think the future is bright for this team. It's just 2023 is going to be maybe a bit of a down season for this team, especially in comparison to where this team has been the past couple of seasons. But if you look a couple of years down the road, I do think we'll see this team once again back in contention in the Big Ten. But looking at your schedule now, as we look forward to 2023, you got Fresno State in week 1 at home, which Fresno State is not a team to sleep on. That's a team that could be one of the best teams in the group of 5 next season. So you got them coming to town. Then you go to Virginia Tech, Syracuse at home, Wisconsin at home, Illinois at home. So you got 3 home games in a row there. Then you go to Iowa. You got Ohio State at home, Nebraska on the road, Michigan on the road. Then you got Minnesota at home, Northwestern on the road, and then Indiana at home to finish out the regular season. So, I mean, the non-conference is actually kind of difficult for this team. Fresno State, once again, I expect to be one of the top teams in the Mountain West. Virginia Tech and Syracuse. I think Virginia Tech is going to be one of the worst teams in the ACC next year, but Syracuse, never know with them. They could be decent. And then Big Ten slate, of course, having to play Ohio State, Michigan, and then Indiana's your crossover games. You got to play Ohio State and Michigan next season. So, I mean, this is a pretty brutal schedule for this team considering all that. And looking at September 1st, Fresno State, I do think you get a nice win here, and you do beat Fresno State, so that gets you off to a 1-0 start. And then you go to Virginia Tech, which I do think you drop this one. Virginia Tech next season, once again, I do expect to be one of the bottom teams in the conference, but going on the road there pretty early on in the season, I do think you drop that one in a close loss, but it is a winnable game, so you could win that one, but I do want to favor the Hokies there right now. And then Syracuse at home, you do beat Syracuse this season. You couldn't beat them last year, but I do think having them at home this season, you get it done, and you get a nice win there. So you're 2-1 heading into the Wisconsin matchup, and Wisconsin next season is probably my favorite to win the Big Ten West. It's either them or Iowa. It's going to be one of those 2 teams to win the Big Ten West, and I think this is a winnable game. In fact, I think a lot of these games on this schedule are winnable. It's just, I think Purdue next season could struggle at times just because of it's just going to be a much different team next season. And so I do think you drop that one to Wisconsin, but you got to consider too, I mean, the past few years, this team has pulled out some insane upsets, and they've really won a lot of games you wouldn't expect them to win, but at the same time, they've lost a lot of games you wouldn't expect them to lose. This is a team that has played to their competition quite a bit over the years, and we'll see if this team can maybe pull a big upset or 2, but I don't see it happening in October. I think you drop all 4 games here in your second month of action. Illinois, a winnable game here. I do think you drop this one, though. Illini defensively could be a strong team. Iowa on the road. Cade McNamara in there. I mean, honestly, Iowa next season, it's pretty much a toss-up between Iowa and Wisconsin to win the West. Iowa, now that they got a decent quarterback, I mean, they've relied on Spencer Petras, just a horrible quarterback the past few years. And yeah, so having Cade McNamara in there, that's definitely an interesting team. Ohio State, too good of a team. You drop that one, and then Nebraska on the road. This is also winnable, but Nebraska, tough place to play. They could be decent next year, I think, under Matt Rule. So I do think you dropped that one as well. So you're 2-6 heading into November. Michigan on the road, just a tough loss here. I think and it's a tough setup as well. Michigan is going to be a true contender once again next season, I think, nationally. I mean, this could be their year. They've been in the college football playoff 2 straight seasons. Maybe this year they finally get it done, get to the national championship. We'll see what happens. But Michigan, just too good of a team. And then Minnesota, also winnable game. But I do think you dropped the one to Minnesota there as well. So that puts you at a tough 2-8 heading to your final 2 games. But Northwestern on the road, and then Indiana, I do think you win your final 2 games. I do think this team at least shows some optimism at the end of the season. But once again, I just think there's a lot of uncertainty around this team looking forward to 2023, and this team could definitely be better than 4-8. There's a lot of winnable games for this team. In fact, I've got the ceiling pretty high for this team at 7-5. But I do think that once again, it's going to be a much different team. No more Aiden O'Connell, who's been a great quarterback. Hudson Card could be decent, but we'll see what he can do. First-year head coach and everything. Just a bit of a down season, I think, for Purdue coming up here. Floor is 2-10, but that is pretty unlikely that this team goes 2-10 next season. I think 4 to 5 wins is probably your ballpark for this team in 2023. Maybe a bit of a disappointing prediction, but I just think that this is a bit of a rebuild season considering the talent that this team is not returning. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Purdue, especially if you're a Purdue fan. I'd appreciate hearing your thoughts, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.